So I am going to provide 10 reasons as to why human beings are not carnivores and have never been a carnivorous or meat-based species at any point in history or prehistory. So let's begin with number 10. Number 10 is the fact that plants have been a major part of the diet of humans throughout their entire existence at every time period and at every location they've ever been at. Eating plants is not some new development that happened only with the onset of agriculture about 12,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. Our earliest primate ancestors that we descended from were omnivores, just like we are today. Humans have always been omnivores, and so were all of our ancestors and closest relatives from the great ape kingdom. The balance between meat and plants in the diet has varied over the epochs depending on the availability of the two types of food, but humans were never exclusively carnivores at any point in human history.
So his first point is that for 0% of human history have we ever been carnivore. I think the main problem with his logic is that it's literally based on a flawed definition to begin with. I've heard many definitions of a carnivorous animal. It can even be as low as eating 20% raw meat can make you a carnivore. That means if you have one raw steak a day and then eat, I don't know, a loaf of bread, you are a carnivore by the definitions. So already we're sort of at a loss where we won't ever be able to reach an agreement because this deluded man doesn't even know basic definition. Lions may occasionally eat fibrous plants to help himself be sick. My cat does it. He'll have a hairball and he'll eat grass. So I guess he's not a carnivore then, Haircafe. He's an omnivore. So yeah, point one is kind of completely pointless.
To put it very briefly, humans have a high stomach acid precisely because they were not apex predators. The meat early human beings ate was carrion meat, meaning leftover meat that other real predators killed. Carrion is full of bacteria, and so the stomach acid evolved to become stronger to kill that bacteria. In fact, there are still human beings today who eat carrion, like RFK Jr.
So this part weren't even a point, but when I saw it, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Is this an anti-carnivore argument or is it pro-carnivore? Do you even understand the implications of what you're saying? So we're saying that human stomach acid evolved to be extra acidic, not just to eat meat, but to eat rancid, carrion meat, already dead animals like vultures. So not only is he saying that we can digest meat just fine, but actually we digest meat so good, and we're so good at eating meat, we can even eat rancid, rotted meat without cooking it, without any issues. And as a matter of fact, that's how we evolved. But this is a video on why carnivore diet is unhealthy and unnatural at the same time. What?
To number 9. Number 9 is the fact that unlike true carnivores, eating meat causes atherosclerosis in humans. True carnivorous animals like cats and even omnivorous animals like bears and dogs can eat as much meat as they want, but they never get atherosclerosis from eating meat. But in the case of human beings, not only do we get atherosclerosis from eating meat, it is the most common cause of death in the human species by quite a good margin.
When he makes points like this, I genuinely think he's mentally deranged. Yes, humans currently have an extremely high rate of atherosclerosis. Humans currently have the highest rates of plant-based eating probably of all time ever. We don't even eat butter or lard anymore, and if we do, it's mixed in with rapeseed oil. So he's saying that the overwhelming majority of people eat plant-based right now, and we're at higher rates of atherosclerosis than ever before. But it's because of the meat. Okay.
Alright, let's move on to number 8. Research shows that the healthiest diets are mostly plant-based diets. This point follows my last point because it's clear that based on scientific evidence that diets that are lower in red meat and more heavily plant-based are associated with better health outcomes and improved health biomarkers in every capacity imaginable. The Mediterranean diet, for example, is based on the traditional diet of various cultures that have lived around the Mediterranean Sea for thousands of years. It is the only diet that has been consistently shown in multiple randomized control trials to lower the risk of cardiovascular events.
Haircafe doesn't realise that all the studies previously suggested that glyphosate was 100% healthy for humans. Smoking was healthy. Like, come on, bruh. You're just a science simp. Just a little bitch boy for science. And then you're going about the Mediterranean diet. I am Sardinian. I'm half Sardinian. I lived in Sardinia. Fucking, you realise olive oil was rich people food. Peasants couldn't even afford olive oil. We ate lard. And Sardinians drink raw pig blood. They eat pig liver, raw. Pig! Not even like goat or cow. You're fucking dumb. We eat raw fish all the time. Rotten maggot cheese. It's actually quite good. It stinks. You're fucking deluded, mate. Bruv.
Moving on to number 7. Humans cannot produce their own vitamin C like carnivores can, and meat is lacking in many essential vitamins and minerals. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with vitamin C. All true carnivorous animals produce their own vitamin C, since meat generally lacks vitamin C. Of course, humans don't produce their own vitamin C. They have to get it from plant sources. If you look at a table of significant dietary sources of vitamin C from the NIH, you'll notice that all the sources are from plants. Meat contains no vitamin C. One exception to this rule is from organ meat, which does have a very small amount of vitamin C, but not nearly as much as what is found in plants.
It's a bullshit argument, mate. First of all, it's based off BS studies. The studies showing that meat or muscle meat has no vitamin C basically assumed that meat didn't have any vitamin C, so they didn't even measure it. Like, they just didn't even account for it. They didn't even try and check how much vitamin C was in muscle meat, as they assumed it was 0, which is why whenever you see those graphs of like a steak and it says 0 vitamin C, not even like 0.001, when it says absolutely 0, it's just lies. It's literally they didn't check it, and instead of just saying not applicable, NA, they just said 0. Fuck, and he's like full on making an argument over this. What a fucking weirdo. It's all studies as well. Like, think for yourself, you fucking sheep. Bah, bah. That's you, mate. But yeah, you don't need vitamin C that much. It's mainly to help regulate glucose and other things like that. Insulin, I suppose. If you're not eating much sugary things, one could argue you don't need loads of vitamin C anyway. Still eat fruit if you want here and there, fair play. But once again, this isn't an argument against carnivores. Meat has vitamin C, and even says it with organ meat at least, but so does muscle meat. He's just an idiot, man. I can't believe I really used to think this guy knew his shit. I used to push his videos or share them with me vegan mates. And now I'm just like, oh my god, I can barely watch him.
Important point the carnivore cult seems to forget is that just because you're eating enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy, that does not mean that you're eating optimal levels of vitamin C for health overall.
This isn't one of his main points either, but I mean, that's just insane. This is the year 2025, and this grown-ass adult with an internet access still believes that scurvy is caused by a vitamin C deficiency. Like, how come the Inuits didn't have scurvy like for 90% of the year when they were only eating raw meat, generally? You're just dumb, mate. Fucking dumb. This. Mate. No words for this. This is like, I don't even know. It's like saying creatine makes you go bald. If you still believe these fucking myths, Jesus Christ, you're just looking at what you want to see and finding the results that fit to your narrative. Whereas if things contradict with my things, I'd be willing to own up and say, yeah, maybe this is wrong. But they never will. There's no studies on my shit anyway, because fucking all the studies on meat are done on cooked meat, cooked in oils anyway, and with people who eat plant-based anyway, and they just say they eat meat and they class them as meat eaters, even though 90% of the diet's plant-based. So studies is bullshit anyway. This guy's literally can't think for himself, throwing out studies. If you check his description, holy shit, just a fucking explosion of studies, just fucking saturated. It's like a legal case when they just inundate you with fucking legal documents to sort of overwhelm you, because they can't actually make a point for themselves. Like, and I'm not even a smart dude. I'm not like saying he's dumb and I'm smart. No, I'm dumb, but he's fucking dumb.
Also lacking in vitamin E, vitamin K1, fiber, calcium, and magnesium. Of course, in the case of fiber, carnivores will claim that it has no benefits because it's not a real nutrient. And even though it is true that we don't actually derive any nutrition from fiber, fiber still plays a very important role in the gut microbiome because it reduces the risk of colon cancer. Fiber also lowers LDL cholesterol, it speeds up digestion, helps contribute to satiety so we don't overeat, and it also lowers blood glucose and can help prevent diabetes. So just because we don't derive calories from fiber doesn't mean it's not beneficial. We don't derive calories from water either, but I doubt anyone would say that water's not beneficial. Now, I know the carnivore dipshits are already writing in the comment section right now, oh yeah, well vegans have...
just mentally deranged. Fiber isn't digestible. You don't need it. Babies don't need it. We don't randomly get to an age where suddenly we need to eat indigestible plant matter to thrive. So many people, I used to be a fibre simp, and like I'd choose foods based on what had the most fibre. I was so dumb, but at least I can acknowledge and try and improve myself now. But one of the main arguments I heard for fibre is fibre helps the good bacteria in your gut, in your lower intestine be fed. And I'm thinking, okay, good bacteria, okay. What does this good bacteria in your lower intestine do? Oh, it helps you metabolize fibre. Wait, so if you weren't eating fibre, you need to eat fibre for the bacteria in your gut because you need the bacteria to be able to digest fibre, which is why it's good. If you didn't eat fibre to begin with, would you need that bacteria anyway? It's bullshit arguments anyway. And helps digestion shit. Yeah, if you're clogged up with absolute trash food and you need to just blast things through. Like you could say an enema's healthy then as well, so it pushes shit through, you know what I mean? But if you're healthy, you don't need either, ideally. But I guess when you never experience health or never even, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Carnivore culture war debate, but what they're forgetting is that you don't have to be a vegan to realize that the carnivore diet is stupid, and a lot of non-vegans have actually criticized the carnivore diet. And besides, if carnivores are all so against supplements, then why do they sell them? I swear, 90% of these carnivore grifters are selling shitty, overpriced electrolyte supplements on all of their channels.
This is the part we can agree on, to be fair, but they're all utterly terrified of eating a single grape or a peach or any fruit, but then they're all addicted to fucking electrolyte drinks. They don't even eat raw meat, half of them. They just eat super overcooked, oversalted muscle meat, and then they're constantly craving carbs, but they don't even have a single carb when the body's craving it. Retards themselves as well. Like, they're all fucking retarded, to be fair. The more I grow up, the more I realise everyone's a fucking sheep. Left, right, vegan, carnivore, whatever. They're all fucking idiots. No one thinks for themselves. Just bleh. What can you do though? Doesn't mean the actual concepts themselves are wrong. Just means that people are idiots. But I guess I'm not going to argue too much on this, but you could say the same for veganism. It's loads of people are dying from it, but they're doing it wrong. And I guess I'm kind of saying the same about this. But they are doing it wrong, but, you know, whatever. Let's not dwell.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 6. Number 6 is the fact that plants are very high in phytonutrients that help fight cancer and heart disease. So, just to name off a few of them, we have carotenoids found in foods like carrots, tomatoes, and sweet potatoes, flavonoids found in berries, citrus fruits, and dark chocolates, lycopene, which is found in tomatoes, watermelon, and grapefruit, and this is just barely scratching the surface here.
This is one of those points that, to someone who doesn't understand, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, okay, phytonutrients. That sounds smart. That's a big word. Phytonutrient. Phyto just means plant. Nutrient, plant nutrients. That's all it means. If you look at the graph, it might be blurry with my screen record. One of the nutrients listed was caffeine. That's a toxin, bruh. That literally gives you, it adrenalizes you, it makes you shit, makes you anxious. Like, what the fuck? These are nutrients, yeah. They're not nutrients for animals or humans. They're nutrients for the plant itself. Like, what the actual fuck? It's saying when people talk about mushrooms, they talk about micronutrients or whatever it is. Mitonutrient? Mico, I think. Whatever. You're just trying to use a bigger term to make it seem like you know what you're on about, but you're a fucking idiot. Like, nearly all those nutrients listed are either utterly benign for you or bad for you. Like carotenoid, that's just a pigment, bro. That's what makes carrots orange. Was it beta carotene or carotenoid? I've already forgot. Whatever. It's been a long day at work. But that's a fucking nutrient you eat and it just makes your skin go all orangey. Does that affect your health in any way? Hopefully not. Maybe slightly towards the negative side, but to imply that you need these things. Actually fucking insane. Another thing it says is that all these nutrients are anti-inflammatory. It's like, bruh, just as an example, let's look at ginger. You put ginger in, I like ginger, but I'm brainwashed. I actually enjoy it. But I'm not going to deny myself that it's healthy in any way. You put ginger in your mouth, it's spicy. You swallow it, it's spicy, it burns. So if something's burning your body, what would your body do if you were burning or being inflamed? It'd probably send out white blood cells. It'd probably trigger an immune response to handle the inflammation and the damage you're doing to your body. Vegans and retards will look at this. They'll see you eat something inflammatory. They'll see your body freak out and send like an anti-inflammatory response to the relevant areas of your body. And they go, oh wow, so that is ginger is anti-inflammatory. Oh. It's like, Jesus Christ, mate, you are actually retarded. Like, so if I punch you in your fucking face and fucking break your fucking nose, and then your white blood cells all flood to your nose to sort of heal the injury, does that mean getting punched in the face is anti-inflammatory as well? You know, this is literally their logic. If I set you on fire and your body freaks out and sends things to sort of stop the damage, that means that fire is anti-inflammatory by their logic. It's literally just insane. That's one of the points that actually, it's not pissing me off now, but it can if I think about it, because it's just so insane. And it's a shit, I'd like to be so unhealthy, and I'd be eating more garlic and more ginger, trying to help my inflammation. I was only inflaming myself more, but I'd listen to idiots like this who speak with such authority and just throw so many studies in your face that you just assume they're right. He must be right, he's got all these studies. No, he's literally that retarded. That is just that determinedly retarded that he's put all this effort into still being wrong. It's like, wow.
Okay, let's move on to number 5. Human saliva contains salivary amylase. Pure carnivores don't have any salivary amylase, and that's because salivary amylase breaks down complex carbohydrates like starches. Studies show that carnivores do not have salivary amylase. On the other hand, all omnivorous animals do, including humans. So, if humans were truly a carnivorous species, why would they produce an enzyme that helps us break down starch, which comes exclusively from plant-based foods?
With amylase, I'm not going to even argue with that. Like I said, his main point is that he doesn't understand the definition of a carnivore, which is an animal that eats a certain amount of raw meat. He thinks if you eat any amount of anything else ever, then you're automatically an omnivore. So by his definition, everything's an omnivore. Squirrels eat meat, so they're omnivores, even though they mainly eat nuts. Hamsters eat meat, so they're omnivores. You know what I mean? It's good that we can adapt to eat certain foods for survival situations, but obviously to thrive, if you fed a baby starch from birth, plant milk from birth, they won't get very far now, would they? So we are good at surviving or going long periods without meat when needed, but ideally we'd never need to go without. Whatever. This is the first point where, you know, you can sort of get somewhere with it, you know, and it's funny that it's the point that he jumps through the fastest. Maybe there is some bullshit to it, but I'm not going to pretend to be educated on this shit when I'm not. I'm not going to try and debunk something I'm not sure on. So let's just give him that point.
Time for number 4. Humans lack traits that are typical of carnivorous animals. We have a longer intestine, jaws that can move side to side, which is a trait that is better suited for chewing plants, as opposed to carnivores that just bite up and down and swallow without much chewing. We also lack natural anatomical features common on carnivorous animals, like night vision and claws. Like I already mentioned, the meat that we evolved eating in early times was likely carrion meat, which explains our stomach acidity, and it also may explain why humans generally don't enjoy killing animals even though they like the taste of meat. It's because the meat we ate prehistorically came from animals that are already dead. And funny enough, that's something that hasn't changed in the slightest.
You know, when you're just so hungry, you're absolutely starving, and you see some dry, dark green leaves in the garden, you put them in your mouth and chew side by side. What the fuck are you doing, mate? Have you ever chewed like that in your entire life? What? This guy's fucking on MD or something. Like gurning, bruh. Insane. Don't have claws, therefore we can't kill. Fucking retard. You're gonna say we don't have fangs, so we can't bite into animals. We kill with our brain and our hands. We make tools using our brain. We mainly throw shit. And we don't have night vision, so therefore, bro, we learn to harness fire. Like, we don't need night vision. Like, we are apex predators in that sense. But, yeah. And then saying that people don't enjoy killing, that's just a claim based on your society you live in. Like, we all live in captivity, and we're all not exposed to the way the world normally is. If you were a farmer kid, you grew up in a farm, you're probably very neutral towards killing animals or seeing animals die in front of you. If you grew up in more tribal societies and whatnot, it's the same. So you can't just say we're automatically, instinctively averse to these things because you are in your fucking Western society.
To number 3. Meat is good for short-term survival and may have been a good source of calories in prehistoric times, but the paradigm has shifted dramatically these days. Now, we live in a world of complete abundance. The food that was once optimal for survival in ancient times is now detrimental for our longevity in modern times.
So I actually like this point he makes, and I think it's one of the more convincing ones if you're going to be arguing against it. Well, you could say, yeah, we're in a place where we've got so much abundance, we've got so much of anything, of everything, that we don't need to have these antiquated, dangerous, barbaric foods in our diet anymore. But then the fact of the matter is, just because we're suddenly... If you bring a bunch of lions and put them in my house, does their digestive system suddenly change? Does the brain suddenly change? The dietary requirements? Obviously not. So, literally... If you're getting somewhere with this point, I will say. But you need to conclusively prove that you can get just as many nutrients of every kind and thrive and feel just as good and live just as long without any meat or anything, which you can't. We literally can't. Otherwise, I'd be vegan, but you literally can't. So, just because we're in a more modern society now, we're still animals. Like, you'll probably say, oh, it's appeal to nature. Yeah, but our digestive system's been the same for hundreds of thousands of years. It's not changed. Just if we start eating petroleum now, just because we're so modern, doesn't mean our body can suddenly just adapt to digest it when it never has before. So overall, just wrong. You know, you have to prove these things at this point if you want people to go on your extreme weird diets, anti-human. But you can't. You're just going to say this. And look at all these studies that will one day be proved wrong. But for now, you just got to believe me. It's like, just shut up, mate. All the studies are lame. And, yeah, you're lame.
Now that our lifespan has been extended through improved hygiene, vaccines, antibiotics, and other discoveries of modern medicine, the fact that a high-meat diet causes premature atherosclerosis is much more problematic for us as a species.
Did you hear him? The fact that fucking red meat causes atherosclerosis. The fact. So like with this guy's full-on divorced from reality. Anything you say, you shouldn't take him seriously because there's literally zero studies ever demonstrably, unequivocally, I can't even speak now. There's no studies either way showing with that shadow of a doubt that these things definitely cause these things. And I know this, I don't even have to check every study, but there's zero studies on people who eat exclusively raw meat. Like I said before, every study's done on people who eat cooked meat, usually just cooked muscle meat, usually cooked in seed oils, over-salted, overcooked, and they're usually eating 90% plant-based anyway. He's saying, without a shadow of a doubt, based on some dodgy studies from fucking virgins, people being paid to get a certain point across, he's saying this definitely causes this. In the same way that if I set my beard on fire, it will definitely light up. He's saying it's that obvious. So literally, this guy's religiously minded. He's closed-minded as fuck. His mind isn't open to hearing other things. He's already made up his mind, and he's just grabbing studies that he hopes support him. If you actually look into the studies, a lot of the ones he's fucking talking about, one of them is about Australopithecus. That's like before Homo erectus. It's literally iterations before Homo sapiens, and he's speaking about it like this is directly related to us. And even then, how the fuck could we say with anything, with any certainty about fucking records from 2 million years ago? But then there's literally photographic evidence of the Inuits, which I mentioned to him, and he just denies, even though that was literally less than 100 years ago. But when he's speaking with such confidence and authority on studies referring to like 2 million years ago and stuff, this guy is literally... Before I thought he was delusional, but now I genuinely think he's just a deceptive person and he's just trying to make everyone as miserable as him. If you notice, I don't think he's ever smiled in any of his videos. Fair play. He might just be focused on getting the point across, but does he look happy? Nah, he looks miserable. He looks dumb. He literally thinks DHT is a trash hormone, bro. One of the hormones that gives you facial hair. Oh, I guess he can't grow a beard, and he probably never will be able to. Lots of finasteride and shit. Unlucky Chucky. And, yeah. Fucking anti-human, anti-masculine. Another little loser. But I used to like him, especially when I was on finasteride and when I was plant-based. So it was like a circle jerk. But now I'm out of it. I've got more of a innate disgust in it.
Which brings me to my next point. Number 2, people enjoy eating plants.
I like to eat plants, to be fair. Like, I used to love broccoli as a kid. I'm brainwashed, but whatever, it's good. I like it. The thing is, I also like to smoke. And I'm not gonna ever make it, well, I like it, so it must be good for me. No, it's bad for me. You won't see me making a 40-minute video talking about how smoking's good. It's plant-based, it's vegan. It's bad for me. I enjoy it, but it's like, I know it's bad for me. I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Most of these plants didn't even exist like a few hundred years ago. There were GMO crops, or they were fucking man-made. We bred different things together to make different things. Lots of them you can't eat in a raw state. If you're absolutely starving, you're not eating days, and you were looking around and just frothing at the mouth with hunger, you wouldn't grab like raw onions and start eating them to satiation, would you? No, you'd get diarrhea, you'd probably be sick, you might even die if you ate too many raw onions. You're a fucking idiot. You need to cook them, you need to season them, you need to add all this other shit. Same with broccoli. Like I say, I like them, but they're not good for me. It's just that I like alcohol. I've not had coffee in months now, but I like coffee. If I have it now, I'll have a fucking panic attack and probably bad shits. But I do like it, so I guess it's good for me by his logic, you know. Whatever. Plants are decent though if you do things with them. It's just they're not good for us. And the fact that we need to do so many things to them just to make them palatable or even digestible, it says a lot. But you know, obviously fruit, I'm never going to deny fruit's delicious. Even fruit, if you ate it all the time, you could get some issues with insulin or other shit potentially. But you know, obviously fruit's a fair bit better than say eating roots or seeds and whatnot. But even them, you could eat some sunflower seeds here and there, you're going to be fine. The problem is, idiots like this will get you into a place where you think, well, not only are plants fine, they're actually good. In fact, I should only eat them. And then instead of people feel ill, they have indigestion. Oh God, I was going to have meat today, but my stomach's hurting. I guess I'll have more seeds. And then the stomach gets worse and worse. I'll have a salad now to help my stomach. No, you're just making yourself worse and worse. You can still have these things, treat yourself. I like to see salads and veg and shit like chocolate. Only chocolate I actually see is better, because at least it's got calories and it's easier to digest. But I'm not going to fully ever stop eating them. But at the same time, I'm not going to delude myself into thinking these things are good. It's just that. Like, there is nuance with it. But, you know, this guy's literally ostrich, head in the dirt. Say as well, normally, ancestrally, if we were to hunt a wild animal and kill it and eat it fresh, that meat's going to be absolutely full of blood, glycogen, aka carbs, sugar. So you'd still be eating like a decent amount of carbs if you were to eat a more ancestral way. Nowadays, when you get meat from the shops, it's been dried out for like 30 days, 30-day matured steak. You know what I mean? There's no B vitamins really left in that. There's definitely no fucking glycogen or blood sugar. There's no blood. Blood's like shadow banned most of the world. So by that logic, you know, that's why lots of these carnivore guys are even more cringe and stupid for me. As they're eating super dried out, salty, overcooked meat. That's already less sweet than it should be if you were to get it fresh and real. And then they're terrified of carbs and, you know, do all this shit to avoid carbs, but we still have fucking sports drinks and shit. That's an argument towards eating some fruit, or more so than we would have typically before. So obviously, if a lot of ancestors would have had fruit maybe a couple weeks a year, and that was it. But they'd have still been having carbs a lot of the time, you know, 5 to 20%-ish carbs a day, or like in general. So they'd still be eating all that, but because just from our unnatural world where all our meat's dried as fuck and lacking in these things, it does, in my mind at least, make sense to still eat a decent amount of fruit here and there, or dairy or whatever. If you're craving sugar, just don't be an idiot. Just listen to your body and eat some fruit.
So now, finally, let's get to number 1. The number 1 reason why humans are not carnivores is because humans have empathy. Alright, so this one is kind of my own take, but I think it makes sense. Humans are not savage killers, at least not most humans. If humans were actually carnivores, as carnivore dieters like to claim, they would be the only alleged carnivores that actually feel sorry for their prey.
I want to be really mean to you about this point, but I get it. You're just a slave who's in captivity and cannot fathom of people having different perspectives. You can't fathom people. You're American as well, or Canadian. What? Same thing. You're all just fucking dumb. I'm not stereotyping at all here. But that's what you're doing though. You're just making out, you're assuming everyone, I think this way, therefore the rest of the world must think this way. Go to third world countries, bro. Go to places where people live closer to nature. Even like some of the tribes and shit. This is just your beliefs based on your upbringing. I'm the same. Like if I were to kill my pet, that'd upset me. If I were hungry though and starving though and no food, I'm sorry. I'm fucking killing my pet, I'm eating it. You know, I won't be celebrating it and shit, but this is just a privileged point from a guy who's never had to struggle, never experienced true hunger or poverty or desperation. Dump yourself in some jungle somewhere with no resources. Go about trying to eat loads of plants. After like 5 times trying different plants and getting diarrhea or being sick, you're just going to go crazy. You're going to be wired in. You'll be looking for a lot of rats and shit or birds. One of my uncles told me that you don't understand hunger until you're at the point where you're on there fucking frothing at the mouth almost, looking for a mouse or a rat so you can just kill it and eat it as is. Yeah, some of my family were very poor back in the day. I weren't that way. But I can acknowledge that this is a dumb argument. This is literally based on your personal experiences and, yeah, whatever.